Namaste. Welcome to the Yoga Diary, Volume 2, Day 91. Friends, in the previous video, number 90, the speaker has identified half a dozen disturbing emotions. These are negative emotions. They are negative because they cause disturbances in us. They cause damage to our psyche. They create more disturbances in our body. And these emotions also create diseases, both physical and psychological. As the speaker has already said, that 99% of our communication is emotional. Our speech is constantly guided by our emotions. We cannot say that our communication is not guided by emotions. We need to be very honest in this particular aspect. There is no human communication that is not guided by emotion. So, therefore, our thinking also is guided by our emotions. But then, there is always a point to be noted here where the emotions are predominant in us. Thinking also takes a back seat. We cannot think when we are overpowered by our emotions, especially the six disturbing emotions that we have already identified. We can't think and act. Even if we were to think and act, it would be very emotional. And as the speaker has already said, that such emotional thinking, such emotional communication will be very harmful to our body and mind. These are the hindrances or obstacles in our spiritual life. The problem is, the problem with us is we always try to seek some solution how to overcome these emotions. Whenever there is anger, whenever there is a lust, whenever there is a pride and obsession, greed and hatred, we start looking for some solution. We want to overcome these emotions because we have read or we have listened to some speech that we need to overcome these emotions. The urgency of our life is to overcome these emotions. This is what you have heard. This is what you have read. And therefore, you start looking for some solution. You go panic. You run here and there. You go to this guru or that guru. You seek some therapy. But the emotions stay with you. We cannot get out of these emotions because these emotions are rooted in our organic body. They cannot go away. As they are rooted in our organic body, they stay with us for long. So, therefore, the speaker is saying that let us accept the emotions, let us live in the emotions. Let's not say that these emotions are enemies to us. Let's be very friendly to these emotions. Let's accept the fact. Accepting the fact speaks of your integrity. The moment you try to translate such emotion into an ideal, it will not stay with you. Such a virtue, when you practice, will become only an ideal, but integrity is a reality. It remains with you. And such an integrity comes when you accept the problem as it is. But we do not accept the problem. We always look for some solution. We look for some kind of virtue, some kind of ideals. And such ideals will not stay with us. An ideal is an ideal, but an integrity is a reality. The integrity arises when you accept the problem as it is. Then you will see a change in your body, in your mind. Don't bring some change from outside and impose it on you. We always want to have a change, but please mind that this change that we have been talking about is coming from outside. Somebody is asking you to change. Some book is asking you to change. Therefore, you want to change. And such a change that happens or that comes from outside force, will not stay with you. But a change must happen within. It should not come from outside. Just because someone is saying you should not go for a change, such a change will not stay with you. Such a change is not a reality. And such a change is a external. Since it comes from outside, it cannot stay with us because the body will not accept anything that comes from outside. But the body accepts anything that springs within. This is the point that you need to know. Because anything that comes from outside, the body resists because the body is tuned to a particular pattern of living. So it will not accept anything that comes from outside, it resists, and therefore it results in conflict. And where there is a conflict, there is a loss of energy. So any change that comes from outside is not acceptable here. And such a change is not real. Such a change you are accepting out of volition, out of effort, out of compulsion, out of necessity, not out of interest. You are not accepting the change because your body wants it. No. Your body wants something that should happen naturally, not unnaturally. Please watch, listen, and think over this. The body will not accept anything that comes from outside, but it accepts something that comes within, and it stays with us long till we breathe last. But anything that comes from outside, it stays with us for some time and it goes away. So, therefore, change must happen within us naturally, without any compulsion, without any force from outside. Somebody is asking you to change, and you should not change. You should not change just because somebody is asking you. That's not what the speaker has been talking about. There is a change that comes from outside, there is a change that happens within. These two need to be distinguished. We always want a change that comes from outside. Unless somebody says something, we cannot act. The speaker is asking, why should we go for such a change that comes from outside? Why should that happen? Have you ever thought over it? Just stay a while and think over it, what the speaker has been saying. The change that comes from outside, the change that happens within. The change that comes from outside will not stay with us long, but the change that happens within us stays for long. It stays with us as long as we live on this planet. Therefore, such a change within should happen naturally. How it should happen? It happens when you accept the emotions as they are, when you start living in the problem as it is. Accept the reality, accept the fact. When you accept the fact, it speaks of your integrity. When you don't accept the problem, when you don't accept the emotion and start seeking out something outside, some kind of solution, it doesn't speak of your integrity. You become a split personality. You become a divided personality because you divide yourself that you are one with emotions and you are seeking some change to overcome those emotions from outside. So there is a division. So where there is a division, there is no integrity. But integrity happens when it happens within us. And such an integrity will stay with us. Such an integrity carries so much of force, appeal, because it arises from our deep convictions. It arises inwardly. The inward transformation is a real transformation, and not the transformation that happens just because somebody is saying, some guru is saying, some text is preaching. Such a transformation will not stay. So, therefore, the speaker is saying, accept the problem. When you accept the problem, you are living in the problem. When you live in the problem, you will see there is a change. The change is taking place within. The speaker need not say what is that change, but it is taking place. Some kind of transformation is taking place within. And this happens only when we accept the problem, when we start living in the problem, when we start accepting the emotions, when we start living in the emotions, not seeing. The problem with us is we always try to intellectualize the emotions, intellectualize the problem. Too much intellectualization of problem. We look for this theory or that theory, this ism or that ism, this kind of ideology or that kind of ideology, this kind of solution or that kind of solution, or this guru or that guru. No, it will not work because body is a natural mechanism. This organism is mine. It is not yours. Therefore, I have to live with this organism. Anything that happens within this organism is mine. I have to accept it. It's not yours. So that is what the speaker has been trying to say. When the speaker has identified these six disturbing emotions which cause terrible damage to our mind and body, the problem is not with how to overcome these six disturbing emotions, but how to accept them and live with those emotions. Then there is a change without your being conscious of such a change that is happening within, but it is happening within. Oh, the speaker is saying that we should live in the problem, we should live in the emotions. Look at another aspect of this. When a dog is angry, it is angry as long as the motivating stimulus is there. Because the dog's anger is conditioned reflex. It is becoming angry because of the presence of some motivating stimulus. But the problem with the human beings is that even in the absence of motivating stimulus, we carry it in our memory. When we say, I'm angry with the boss, yes, I'm angry with the boss because the boss is present. The boss is doing something which is not acceptable to me, therefore, I'm angry with the boss. But even if the boss goes on leave, even when you come out of the office and go to the house, in the house also you think of this anger. You are angry with the boss because here the motivating stimulus is absent, but the motivating stimulus is is recorded in our subconscious state. It is there in our memory, and the memory constantly goads you. So the problem with the human being is to recognize and record it in our memory, and the memory constantly prompts you, and that is the danger, that is the problem with us. This is the difference between animals and the human beings. The animals become angry only under certain conditions. That is why its emotional response, the emotional response of an animal is a conditioned reflex. It is conditioned by a motivating stimulus that is present. As long as the motivating stimulus is there, the animal becomes angry. The animal becomes emotional. The dog becomes emotional. I remove that conditioned reflex, that is motivating stimulus, the dog is back to its normal. The dog is calm because there is no memory in the animal, in the dog. The dog does not recognize it, that does not record that. But in the case of human beings, when we have an emotion, we recognize such an emotion and it gets recorded in our subconscious memory. And therefore, even in the absence of motivating stimulus, we constantly remember it. So the emotions are there with us forever. Thank you very much. Namaste.